All right. Hi, welcome back to Life Skills. Just give me a second. There we go. All right. Today, we are going to talk about probably the most important thing as I go over the other areas. So when we talk about time management, when we talk about your space, when we talk about your money, this is gonna be something that we actually fall back on. So it's a really important lesson that you have in your tool belt before you jump to any of the other lessons that are coming up. So um, today we're going to we're going to discuss the art of brain dumping. Again, I'm Mrs. Spasm, a master's level education you're going to get with a very spastic person. I'm not glamorous. I don't even know what I'm doing. I can barely do this, but here we are. So, ready to start the art of brain dumping. So, to understand ourselves better and other human beings, this is going to be one of those first principles that we talked about in the very, very number one introductory lesson. Um, Brain dumping. Now, first of all, I have to have a shout out to my husband's friend's daughter who does graphic art, and I will try to find the link to her Etsy. But she did these for me, and I am in love with my brain. As I teach this to especially younger students, I have them name their brain. Sometimes with adults, the brain can look like a phone. Sometimes it's a paper planner. But whatever it is, it's easier as I teach one-on-one anyway to go about talking about the brain, and giving him a name and personalizing him or her or they into a like personalization type thing. So I had named it Gary, but I had an Uncle Gary, and I don't want to do that. So I haven't really come up with a name for my brain, um, except for just Spaz. That's what I'm going to call my brain. So you take a minute to name your brain. Remember, you can pause at any point in this. You can come back to where you left off. There is no rush to getting through these lessons one at a time. So here we go. Me and Spaz are gonna take off now. I do have to take drinks ever so often. I apologize. And I will put in another mouth thingy because I'm professional. So this is what I do in the middle of teaching. Hi. Okay. So brain dumping. You have everything going on in your brain. When it is inside your brain, it can be overwhelming. Like completely like it's hard to get a grasp on it, especially us neurodivergents, okay? So the goal is we get it out of our head and before our eyes. And by doing that, then this gives us control because we can control it be either doesn't matter how, if it's paper or if it's an app on a phone or if it's a spreadsheet on Google, or you are, fancy and have the Excel. Um, the idea of brain dumping is to get it all out and in front of our face so that we can control it. I will tell you some stories as we go along. Brain dumping helps to get all this stuff out, and then we have storage for more important things or for additional things. We're going to talk about organizing it and then how we can process better when Spaz or Gary, my phone, whatever, has got the information, then I don't have to carry it around up here as much. Whenever I start to have anxiety about something, I'm like, you know what? That's okay. I don't have to remember it all because it's all written down or it's all typed up or it's all whatever. So a brain dump is different than a to-do list. A to-do list is something to be managed, right? And it's sometimes a to-do list is short term. For instance, a mother getting ready to have everybody over for Thanksgiving. She's gonna make her grocery list. She's gonna make the to-do list of setting the table and buying the, whatever she needs to do. That's a one-time thing that is managed. A brain dump is different in the fact that it is a tool and it is something that helps us process. And what I mean by that is when I was working, I had the opportunity to do a training session once with some therapists. And so I taught them this, and I had heard back from a few that just that even that following week of how they were teaching their clients how to do this. And what was happening is as they got rid of all of the I got to check the mail and I've got to get gas and I've got to do this, then that left more space for those things that they really needed to talk about in therapy. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. These, as they show up on the screen, are cons of a brain overload. And I'm sure that you guys can put your finger on one or all of them. Um, so, like I said, these are the cons. There's going to be brain fog and memory problems and give us some panic and irritability, and we don't complete tasks or increased anxiety, concentration, confusion, difficulty planning ahead. Like when we have so much going on up here, this is what we end up with. And if you are identifying with anything on this page, then you're in the right place here on the vast, wide world of YouTube. So here's some pros of learning to do this art. It will, and it has been proven too. It lowers anxiety, blood pressure, and a hormone called cortisol, which we will talk about later in the time management classes. But cortisol is basically the stress hormone, and it can do a lot of damage to our bodies. The pros, if my face isn't in the way there, is that it increases problem solving. It can help you sleep better and be more creative. It can be calming and a relief, and all the good stuff. It can also help rewire. Now, some of you are like, but my brain is already wired like this. But this is what we talk about when we talk about the habits, right? So if I continue to use my app or my planner or a to-do, I almost said to-do list, or however the list, however I'm going to teach you to do this, whatever method you choose, how I tend to use it is a spreadsheet. One, I do it over and over and over again and build that habit, then I can rewire my brain. So when that anxiety starts to come up, it's like, oh, hold on, never mind. I don't have to worry about it because Spasm's got that, Spaz has got that in the planner. I had a client once that after teaching this, I touched base with her and she said she had had just the craziest day at work. And then she picked the girls up from school and she was coming home and she was feeling so overwhelmed. And she remembered to do this. And so she sits down and she starts to brain dump. And she actually ended up only coming up with about 5 things. But she said, and then she looked at the 5 things and she's like, none of these I have to get done today. Like I can rest today. I can take a break from all of that stress that I've been feeling because 1, 2, and 3 don't have to be done until the weekend, and then the other 2 things can wait until next week. So that is kind of the rewiring, is that you get it out and then you sit with it, which we're going to talk about. But let's get started first with you and what methods you like. I have clients that choose paper planners. I have some clients that like sticky notes. The fallback with the sticky note is that you do have to do a lot of writing over and over, but that can be cathartic as well. You can use the Google Docs spreadsheet, or like I said, if you're snazzy and have Excel, you can do that. Or the little thing down there with the check. That is an app for my Android because I'm not fancy like the Apple people. My Android app is called Task, Tasks, and it allows me to do this process on my phone. Um, I actually do it mostly on my spreadsheet, but if I'm going to be away from my office or my um, home, and then it's going to be in my phone, and then it helps. So pick your poison, pick your method that you want to choose, pick your weapon. And then the very first thing we're going to do is we're literally going to dump. Spaz is just going to dump all of that out. All of the thoughts, all of the feelings, all of the to-dos, all of the everything. We're just going to dump it out. Now, I don't want you to think, which sounds weird, but let's suppose that you're at your keyboard and you just start typing, and you're typing and you're typing anything and everything that comes to your brain. So of course you're thinking, but I don't want you to overthink and think, oh my gosh, I just did this and now I've got to like how am I going to get that done? And those steps, those other steps that you take for that thing, don't worry about that thing. Whatever is in here, we're just getting out. We don't have to organize it right away. You just vomit. You just get it out, okay? So if you are dumping on a notebook, it might look like this. Your sticky notes might look like that. One thing I will share before I'm gonna kind of stop and switch over to a spreadsheet is as you are not thinking, but you write down, oh yeah, I've got to get flowers for Aunt Ruby's birthday on Sunday. And that reminds you that you also have to renew your Costco card because Costco is where you get your flowers, right? So you're writing down flowers for Aunt Ruby, and then you're like, oh, I got to renew my Costco card. So you're renewing your Costco card. So what that is that's just if it hinges on another thing, that's totally fine. That is you in this process of continuing to just dump everything in your brain out. Once you've done the dumping, it's very important for me to make sure that I share with you that I need you to sit with this for just a little bit. Whether it's a day or a weekend, do your brain dump at the beginning of vacation week and then just take your vacation week. Or do it at the beginning of the weekend and then, or do it on the Saturday night and then just take Sunday to like chill, right? A day of rest. I want you to sit with that. And there's a few different reasons. As we talked about that rewiring. So the more that you dump it out, and then the less that you have up here, sit with those feelings that you have control because you've just dumped everything out. And then that peaceful feeling, that quiet feeling is important. It's also important for neurodivergent, especially students with ADHD, to get in a habit of sitting still with that peace. That is something that is a process, not a project, because this is a habit. And the more comfortable that we become, especially ADHD people, right? We need to become calm because our bodies and our minds are constantly in motion. And so if we can just find that little pocket of peace, just to sit and be calm and relaxed, that's going to start rewiring some of the brain, and it's going to help us with whatever, whether that's taking less medication or whether that's giving us skills to sit through longer meetings or classes or whatever's going on. The more that we can train our body to be comfortable with that, then the healthier that we're going to be, and we're not going to run ourselves into the ground. So Then, once everything's out and you've relaxed, then you can organize it. Now, I'm going to show you really quick how to organize it if you do it on paper. On paper, you're going to put like things with like things. So if you use the sticky notes, you want a heading. And I usually say let's only do 4 to 5 uh, categories. If not, you get overwhelmed and then you just won't do it. So with the sticky notes, you will be rewriting. So rewrite your headings up there. If you're using the notebook, take different color pens or highlighters and assign a color. What are chores? What are things household? There's a difference between chores and household. Chores are actually to do laundry, while household is to prep the folder for the accountant, right? Um, there are some things that you want to talk to your therapist about, and or take classes from me. And then there's all the errands that you need to run. And so what you do is when you put all those together, you can see from that sticky note as well, is that you can have an errand morning. You can get gas, get new cleats for Tommy, pick up the medicine, and drop off Tico at the groomers. Like you can do all of that in one morning, like all together while you're already out, instead of getting gas and coming home, and then doing that and coming home, and then doing that and coming home. Like it's all together. So you just do a marathon run and then you get all your errands done. So, all right. The next thing is to prioritize. And this can get a little messy, but you're going to prioritize based on a couple of things, which I'm going to show you how to do that a little differently in the spreadsheet when I bring that up. But look at your list and what absolutely needs to be done today. If it's those errands, and then if it's talking to Gina and talking to John about Tommy's grades. I am a Bon Jovi fan, if you haven't picked that up already. Tico, Tommy, Gina. Look at your pages if you're doing that, and circle in a different color, what absolutely has to be done today. Pick up the meds, finish that work project. That's going to be how we do that. And then this is not wanting me to go anymore. Okay. We're going to talk about big, medium, small, tiny in just a second, but I want to switch over for a second. I'm going to stop sharing. Hi, it's me.